I mean, who hated Zoran more than the Democratic Party? It was the party.
Yeah, what you're describing is my, literal nightmare, I'll be honest with you. I feel like liberal guys often make the girls pay. Is that true?
That is true. I've had men ask to pay me to blue pill them.
Wow.
I can't say I denied it. I did make a few, maybe hundreds, thousands from that, but...
Oh my gosh!
Every week, we are in a new location.
But if the content sucks, it sucks anyway.
Okay, so that was a long discussion. We're going to get into maybe a shorter one. We'll find out. But we're going to do an interlude real quick. Okay, this one's meant to kind of bring us into
the next
segues into the next talk where we're talking about 2028. First off, before we even get into the nominees for 2028, what hypothetical third party would you guys construct to try to compete with the Republican and Democratic Party? Okay, you got to keep it in terms of what do you think might be realistic, but you can have a little level of idealism here where it's well, I hope that this works. You know, what party would you construct that you would try to run in 2028, 2032, something like that?
You go first.
Okay, mine would be the America Party by my favorite person in the whole wide world, Elon Musk.
No.
100%.
Joke.
I'm dead serious. No, I like this party ideas a lot. It's all about balancing the budget, reducing our spending, getting back to a net positive budget, which I don't think we've had since the days of, Bill Clinton kind of technically ran a surplus, but really Calvin Coolidge, which is why he's my favorite president of all time. I think, as you're going to talk about, it's a very working class based party, recognizing that we are out of control with our spending right now and we are going to tank. And who's that going to hurt? It's going to hurt the working class. It's not going to hurt the old people who are already established. It's not going to hurt the super wealthy. It's going to hurt the working class when our budget completely flips and we go into another great recession.
You think corporations genuinely care about the working class?
No. Not necessarily.
Are you trickle-down economics type of person?
Oh, yeah, I'm trickle-down economics. I don't think that it's because they care. I think it's just the natural outcome of a free market.
Trickle-down economics. Take a look at the hockey stick graphs, we call them, over the past 200 years.
We'll put them up right here.
We'll put them all over the place. Sorry, I love that.
Wait, what? I mean... I'm a very big free market guy, which is, the exact opposite of you. But I think capitalism has lifted more people out of poverty than socialism ever will and ever could.
I mean, we can look at so I do want to clarify.
I
do want to clarify. I am again not a socialist. I'm a democratic socialist, and so when I think more of democratic socialism, I think more of
fantasy.
Scandinavia,
we got a whole podcast about
this. A girl can dream.
Yeah.
But no, I do think I relate more to when I'm discussing this, I'm talking more about Scandinavian countries and European countries and the way that they go about things. But not all people.
They tax everyone a lot,
Yeah.
Even
and they
even
also
poor
have
people.
healthcare. They also have a lot more people who are not living on the streets. And
they do. It's great. But if we want to achieve that vision, we got to raise the taxes, which my America Party would do. We'd raise the taxes on everybody. Everyone's paying taxes.
Okay, but then what would your counter vision? What's your party?
Sorry.
We started debating socialism and capitalism.
We had a whole episode on that.
I heard Elon Musk, and I think my jaw
triggered
physically.
I know, totally. That's why I said it. That's really why I said it. But the America Party was started after he was very frustrated that Trump is a big government guy. Trump's a huge government guy.
Yeah.
And
authoritarians tend to be. I'm just kidding.
There's no party right now in America that's more small government. The right is fully big government now. The left is, and I think the America Party started from that, or the joke of the America Party started out of that frustration, which I connect with.
Yeah, I think, if we're going to have any similarity, I think working class.
We don't have to.
No, I think so. I think I don't have a name for what I think my party would be, but I think it would really be emphasizing working class and really getting away from establishment elite, which is also a very Trumpy sort of value. I think the one guy that comes to mind, I don't know if you guys have seen him, but Graham from Maine.
Yeah, I know him.
Yeah.
He's not the guy with the tattoo, though, is he?
He has tattoos. He's like an army guy.
He wasn't the Nazi tattoo guy, was he?
No. It's not that one. No. I'm pretty sure it's tattoos, but he's this fisherman. He looks so conservative. He does all these very manly things, but he has progressive values. And people on the right, people on the left who are just working class see him and they're I can see myself in that person. Mm-hmm. Have I ever looked at Hillary Clinton or Kamala Harris or Joe Biden and been I can see myself in those people? Absolutely not. And I think that's the left keeps going for these like, again, playing the moral high ground, saying if you don't vote for us, like, then you're a bad person, you're racist, you're homophobic. We're propping up people who like went to only Ivy League schools and have all this education and have all this political background. I think that that's doing the opposite of success. And I think the way that we will get towards success, if I did have a third party, would be to really promote just like an everyday person, average candidate that the working class can get behind, and not emphasize like morally controversial topics like the Democrats tend to do, such as like I think of course I would still want it to be pro LGBTQ plus, pro immigrant, like pro women and abortion, but I think that the Democratic Party focuses on those controversial topics in order to have them be these talking points and to divide. Whereas I think the party that I would want to do, you could still be pro those topics, but not emphasize them as much, more so emphasize economic topics that so many more people can get behind, and maybe say, hey, I love free healthcare so much more than I hate gay people, and so I'll still vote for that party.
See, what you're describing is my like literal nightmare, I'll be honest with you. But like the reasoning is because I think it actually is, you're right, I think it would be effective. Like I think that guy Graham you're discussing, like I think he's probably winsome, right? Like you really want to vote for a guy like that. And the reason why that's scary to me is because I think that the ideas are terrible still, right? I fully disagree with them. And so I think that he'll get into power and do what often happens and fail everyone and cause everything to burn out. So that's what my worry is. Not because my worry is that you'd be very effective at doing what you're talking about.
I think that you're a real conservative. But do I think that most people are voting on the right because they're real conservatives? No. I think that a lot of people are just confused. I think a lot of people, I don't want to say this, but like we are more educated than the vast majority of Americans. And so we do know politics, we do know news going on, but most Americans don't, especially when I go home to my family or my friends, like they don't follow politics at all. And so they're sort of just voting for whoever feels like they should.
Vibes.
Like really off of vibes a lot of times. And so I really appreciate the fact that you do stand firm in your conservatism, but I think a lot of other people who may not really know what they stand for, but just know I want someone to help my position because I feel like I am not in a good position right now, would feel drawn to a party of working class like that.
Yeah, and see, this is the thing, is that I think that that is true. I think people do vote based upon vibes to some degree. I think I vote based upon vibes sometimes. It doesn't matter how much I know. At the end of the day, it's kind of like, I like that guy, right? And he seems like he's going to do the right thing. But this is also a point, though. I really have a lot of trust in the common man of America. Like, I have a lot of trust in them. I think that, you can be really educated into stupidity, and I see a lot of that here in the Northeast. And I think that there's a fundamental sense of common sense, actually, out in middle America and rural America. I grew up in Alabama. I know a lot of people who are some of the smartest people I know, and people around here would think they're the stupidest people on the planet. And they could do so many things. They could change the world. They're family people. They raise absolute incredible kids. They go to church, all these other things. So I think there's a certain type of person out there that may not seem smart, but really they have a good sense for the world and a good sense for people. And that's why I don't want them to end up getting tricked into like looking for that sense. I don't think they would necessarily in the same ways.
I think then you could argue that Trump just tricked them to going to that side.
Well, but here's the thing. I don't necessarily think it's like, maybe I shouldn't say tricked. Maybe tricked's the wrong word. What I mean is that, like, influence? I think, well, influence perhaps, but above all else, I think it's that we do want sincere politicians. I think that's one of the things that as Americans, we have we have heads on our shoulders where we're like, we want a politician who's really going to represent us. That's really core to America. And so, like, oftentimes I think that sense gets trumped sometimes by the actual like policies and ideologies and everything else that's kind of out there. And so we're focused a lot more on the salesman these days rather than what he's selling.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm saying is I'm upset with. As much as I trust the common man a lot, I think that he could identify good packages of sales and bad packages of sales. I think if everybody's got bad stuff, if everybody's selling bad ideas, you're going to go for the best of the salesman because that's the only differentiating factor.
I would be curious to hear your reaction to this, but when Mason was talking, my mind immediately went to like a very fundamental belief that I have, which is that we put way too much emphasis on the president. We put too much emphasis on him on a national level versus Congress, but also just at like a federalist level. I want more power with the states. I want competition amongst the states. What is that term that's often thrown out when like states see other states doing really good things and then they try to implement them?
Well, I mean, it's just experimentation.
It's a race to the top, but that's what I want. Like, and I want Washington State, where I'm from, to be able to be doing different things, and like for that to be where the populace is really focused on is like electing local legislatures and city councilors and mayors and governors. Like that should be more of the focus of like our conversation, but we put so much emphasis on the president. Localization of politics is a huge thing for me, I think. National level is like, I don't care who's the president necessarily, because I want more of that emphasis to be on the state level, because that's where I think that change can actually happen.
Totally. And maybe that's a good focus away from the parties and things like that. Just like to close this out there, because I do want to actually like move away from the interlude all the way through. But I also haven't pitched my party. I kind of just responded to her. Sorry.
Yeah, let's hear.
But in line with what you were just describing, because I actually do think what you're putting out there is actually very accurate, which is that I think the best salespeople right now are people who feel like they're outside the system, who feel like they're representative of you as just an average individual, who are honest and true. And so I want good salesmen who are pitching good ideas. This is the thing that I was describing just a second ago. That's why I was talking about sales. Like, fundamentally, I want somebody who can come out kind of like Trump and make jokes about everything, and he feels like he's just like that. Especially everybody who meets him, they're like, oh, he's like, it's really hard to hate him individually. You can hate him for his politics, you can hate him for all these other things, but like individually, he's a very affable personality. I would like a person like that who has good morals and all these other things, while also understanding this fundamentally. And this is why my party would never succeed, because it's the dumbest idea in the world. But I really would like a humility party, which I know sounds stupid and nobody would ever pitch it. It's not a successful party. This is my idealistic approach. We would never call it humility. We would probably call it something like, they've tried it. They called it the Tea Party.
It's Silent Cal.
They tried it, yeah. They call it the Libertarian Party sometimes, and then they're crazy. They do all these other things, but really what it is it's a group of people who come in and they're very honest about their ideas. They're very straightforward with you. They work hard for what they believe in. They have families. They do all this other stuff. But ultimately, at the end of the day, they don't put a lot of trust and faith in like the institutions of government or themselves to be able to fix the problems of the day. They're very forward with you, and they say, listen, poverty is bad. We're not going to be able to fix everything for you. You're still going to have to pay for groceries. It's going to be hard. We're not going to be able to make sure that there's always the best quality food out there. We're going to strive for it, though. We're going to be honest with you about the steps that we're taking, rather than a party that comes out to you and says, we're going to stop inflation.
We're the savior.
We're going to lower everything here. We're going to make bus rides free. We're going to do all of these other things that I think like can be elements of a party, maybe, but I think it's overselling.
Totally.
And the problem is this party's never going to succeed because it's not what the American people really want. It's the same reason why Stranger Things had a horrible finality. And the reason why is because you can't have good art if you don't have a taste for it. And I think we don't have a good politics because we don't have a desire for it, ultimately. And that's where I'm saying, like, my party is not going to ever exist. But
no, it can.
It's my hope. Now, let's actually move into the main topic of discussion, much more lighthearted. 2028. It's now 2 years away.
Yeah, it's
2 years away until that election cycle. So
That's
excited.
Crazy.
Who do you guys think is going to be the nominee from? Let's start with. I feel like the Republicans are probably more clear to talk about. Maybe.
You're in a much better position.
You think? Well, why do you say that? Why do you think we're in a better position?
Because Donald Trump's just going to run for a third term, right?
Yeah, because it's the third term with Trump. Is that it?
I just think that we don't have collective leadership right now. We have no leader on the left. And I think that you guys at least have, despite the fragmentation, you at least have leaders. We have no one to look to.
Do you have any individual at all that you'd say you think has a shot of being able to do that?
Not ones that I like.
Wow. Okay, but who do you think genuinely I guess we're starting with the left then, but who do you think has more of a chance then?
I think right now, of course, we see Gavin Newsom, I think is rising to the top. Some people are also throwing out Harris again.
That would be a crazy move, I think, to rerun Harris. That would be the dumbest thing.
Totally do it. Highly recommend. She's maybe second time could be the charm.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, I'm gonna be really conservative here for a moment. Are you guys ready?
Yes, I'm so ready.
I don't think this country is ready for a woman president.
That's not
I am a feminist. I really want to see women in office. We have tried it twice now, and it hasn't worked. And as much as I do want to see a woman in office as president, I don't know if we're ready for it yet, unfortunately. So I just want to start with that.
What about if the right ran a woman? Oh my gosh! That was so mean, bro.
I have haters. I have people who may come after me.
Great. Okay, so we just got interrupted by some friends streaking and really scared Larissa. Like, really on the floor. Like, call for fire missions coming in. Okay. I asked, do you think that a Republican woman would be successful? Because, and I mean, this is also just like a broader point of like, the two women candidates have been kind of horrible from the left. Yeah. So, do you think it's really about her sexuality and not like who she is as a person or her politics?
I don't think that you can say it's just because of like, not sexuality, but gender identity, if we want to be politically correct here. But anyway, I think it plays a factor. Like, everything plays a factor. Do I think that some people didn't vote for Harris because she's black? Yes. Do I think that some people didn't vote for Harris because she's a woman? Yes. Do I know the extent of racism and sexism on why she lost? No. But I do know that a lot of people on the left were like, if you don't vote for Harris, you're racist. If you don't vote for Harris, you're sexist. I voted third party, and so I got a lot of that. But do I think me saying that maybe this country isn't ready for that yet and we have to be a little bit strategic, do I think that I'm racist and sexist for saying that? No, I just think that I'm a strategic political person, and the Democratic Party needs to do some looking at itself in order to understand who can actually win.
Okay.
No, that's I think that's an interesting point. I mean, I don't know if I fully agree that it's because they were women. I think that there are women out there who could win. I mean, like, obviously we're not Britain, but Margaret Thatcher was a prime minister in Britain for a long period of time. They have a different system and everything like that. But, like, I do think that there are good female candidates out there. Mm-hmm. I think in this day and age, though, with the way our politics works and everything, it might be more disadvantageous because of how identities are thrown around, maybe, and also because of like how forward our senses of humor and how our entertainment is focused. Like, the two women that ran, I think, had horrible senses of humor. I think they were completely uncharismatic in the way that they related to people. And so, like, if you ran a more charismatic, relatable woman, I think you might have a better shot.
And I also do just want to say, Harris was thrown into that. We never voted for her in a primary. And I have a really big issue with this when it comes to being pro-democracy. Like, for instance, we had the No Kings rally, where a lot of, don't even get me started on this, but a lot of liberals came together over their collective hatred of Trump, saying that he's an authoritarian king. And I think there was, like, good points to that. But how do you let 10 million people come together and you have no outcome or goal out of that? That is silly. That is stupid. You're just all coming together and marching to say, I hate Trump. Like, go, use your right to free speech, totally do it. But how are we letting this opportunity slip when, for instance, we look back at, like, one of the first protests I ever went to in my life was the Women's March right after Trump was elected in 2016. I wasn't able to vote yet at that time, but I remember going to that, and so many actual policies came out of that to protect different types of women's rights. And I think that that's huge, and that's how we should be using our right to free speech. I think that's...
I mean, I think you're pointing to a really big problem that keeps Democrats from, like, moving forward is, like, they are so fixated on Trump.
Yeah.
It's Trump derangement syndrome at its finest. And, like I was going to ask you if you have or know anyone who's ever suffered from Trump derangement syndrome on this podcast, but we'll save it for another time. Yeah. But, I mean, you guys have issues to figure out, but, like, the collective focus right now is just on how bad Trump is and criticizing everything Trump does, and it's like there's no introspection. It seems like from the outside.
I also it's unsurprising, frankly. You guys haven't had a real primary election since, like, I don't know when, 2008. Yeah, it could be like 2008, because, like, even 2016 was super delegates. I mean, like, every going back to, like, real choices, it is unsurprising, though, to me, because, just to be honest, this is my conservative perspective, Democrats pitch themselves as, we know better than you, where we're the party that's going to make decisions for you as the government, so why would they not do that for their own party? That's what kind of is part of the issue, is that they need to give more flexibility, because if you actually allowed your party to speak more, like, Bernie might have had more of a shot.
It's just, why would you be doing things when it's the people who are going to be casting the votes? Why would you do something to not give the people their say in a candidate? It just completely blows my mind. And I think when we have these conversations about Trump being so authoritarian or Trump being so anti-democracy, we have to say the Democratic Party is too, and recognize that. So
who do you guys think will be the Democrat nominee then in 2028? That's the real question from all of this. With all of this being a given, the back and forth, let's say that there might be an actual legitimate primary, who will be the nominee?
I think they're going to go for AOC.
AOC?
Actually, yeah. I think they're going to make the same mistake that you're saying they made with Harris, basically, and go with AOC.
The fact, though, that we either have like a very young woman or like Bernie Sanders, who's like, what, 80s? Like, has he hit 90 yet at this point? Like, two extremely different extremes, and anyway, identity-based. It just shows how we lack a leader. We lack leadership. And I also don't think that this country is ready to go as progressive as they are.
No.
New York City was ready, which I was really happy to see. But New York City is a microcosm of the left. It is not reflective of the entire country. And so unfortunately, I think an establishment Dem who, like you said, knows how to sell themselves well on these
like
talking
Newsom,
points,
yeah.
like Newsom, will be able to get to the top. When we saw like Newsom, when he got elected in California, he literally ran on like single payer healthcare, and then right when he got in, he let the bill die and never talked about it again.
Yeah.
That is performative, and that is exactly why the left hates establishment Dems like him. Same with like his approach to homelessness. Him and Harris on the criminal justice system and like prosecutions and police and everything. A lot of the values like that they have, where they say, I'm so left, I'm so pro-abortion, I'm so LGBTQ plus, I'm so pro-women. Those are just dividing points that they say, and it's like, well, vote for me because of that, because Trump doesn't offer you that. That's
Right.
not enough of a platform, especially when you do offer a platform and then don't even keep up with it when you're in office.
So you would say Newsom?
I think that is probably the option that the establishment Democratic Party would put forward.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know, dude. I think the left is so confused. The Democratic Party is very confused right now. And I would not be surprised at all if they go with like a very far left person like AOC over a more like quote unquote moderate candidate.
My issue is the party would never allow it.
Are you sure?
I mean, who hated Zoran more than the Democratic Party? It was
Me?
the party.
I mean, sorry. Like us, two people on this bench.
Who on the left?
Okay, fair.
2 of 3 people on this bench. Who on the left hated Zoran more than the Democratic Party itself? Like, no one, I always say this, like, now I can't say no one, but like no one hates progressives more than establishment Dems. No one on the left hates more.
Really?
Yeah. And
I guess you're exposed to that through your Instagram account,
Exactly.
probably getting a lot of like Democrat hate. Maybe?
yeah.
Am I right?
I get hate. Like I always want to make a video of like Hannah Montana, best of both worlds, because like I get hate from the left, I get hate from the right, and I'm like, there's no safe space.
Well, that's interesting to hear. Yeah, I don't see that from the outside. I see a trend towards extremism, kind of on both sides, and I'm worried that the Democrats are not ever gonna. You wouldn't want this, but I would want this
More
for them
center.
to move towards the center. I think they're gonna go with AOC, but
This is one of the reasons why I voted third party, though, if I'm being 100% honest, because I, at the end of the day, think that both parties that we have right now have very similar, like, pro-capitalist views. And at the end of the day, we may have a few things that are different when it comes to, like, again, like abortion, immigration, climate change. I think those are, like, the big ones that stick out that actually are differences domestically. But foreign policy-wise, we're basically the same on both parties. Like, supporting, like, capitalist leaders and corporations, we're basically the same on those things. And I think the parties are a lot more similar than we play them out to be, and that's my issue with them and why I boycotted voting for either of them.
Yeah, and I mean, there are some dark horses in this race, too, like in terms of just alternative candidates. And I'm not talking like Pete Buttigieg. I think he's got no chance. He pulls
I
zero.
mean, if we can't get a woman, we can't get a gay man. I'm sorry.
and he also pulls 0% among black voters. That's just impossible. But I think this
does.
leads
That's so
into my
funny,
next
actually.
my next point.
Uncharacteristically good at that.
Yeah.
I don't
He's
know.
very bad
Maybe
at
not.
it. He's
I mean,
very good
maybe-
at being bad at it. But here's the thing, though, is that I actually do think that in terms of primaries, I mean, just the data shows this, the black vote matters immensely for the Democratic primary. And so because of that, there are people like, I'm trying to remember the name of this guy. Is it Westmoreland? I don't know if it is. It's the governor of Maryland. I don't know if you guys have heard of this dude. There are some figures out there who are great, like strong black men in the Democratic Party who I think could end up being very viable candidates, if not VP candidates. That's like the first thing.
This is one thing, though. Like, I truly hate identity politics. And like I said, I think it comes into play in the U.S., like, when it comes to, are we ready for voting for this person? But identity politics just sits so wrongly with me.
I'll agree with that.
Yeah, we
Okay.
totally agree with that.
Okay,
but I'm
good.
like, that's like so fundamental to the Democratic coalition right now.
That's the
since
thing.
Obama.
I know.
It's a huge thing because in 2012, that's how Obama ran his
Yeah.
election. And so because of that, like we look at it and we're like, that's probably going to play a role. Like if I'm just making my prediction, my long-term guess has been the same as yours, actually, AOC, which I know sounds weird and maybe you're more in line with the pulse. But part of my thing is that like I think that she is capable of appeasing the establishment base a little bit while also seeming like from the outer face, from the fact that she's kind of been like the more radical voice back in like the 2010s, like that she is more revolutionary, right? She is more social democrat. And so I could see that.
And I mean, it would be a dream if she would be, like for me, if she was the candidate, it would genuinely be a dream. Like I would feel very, very hopeful, but I know the Democratic establishment party would never, ever, ever allow it.
So I guess we're more optimistic for you than
No,
you
like,
are.
we're
it's kind
more
of crazy.
optimistic
You guys
for you.
are like, but that's like
More
kind-
pessimistic on the country. Yeah. More optimistic for you.
But it just shows how much of like when you're in your little like echo chambers, how you really think that the other side is more extreme than they actually are. Because as someone who is like more left than the Democratic Party, I'm like, they would never go with AOC. But you guys are like, oh my God, the Democrats are going to go with AOC. And I'm like, what?
Yeah.
I really, really wish. But.
Yeah, so it's very interesting.
Okay,
All right,
how about Republicans?
let's do
Yeah,
Republicans.
let's hear
Okay, so I know who I want it to be.
Oh.
I'm willing to say it now. Before this, I was
Let's say
kind
it
of
on
like in
three.
between.
Ron
Ro-
DeSantis.
No.
You have the same interpretation as my mother.
Love your
You
mom.
think? Wait. Your
Shout
mom
out,
thinks that
Mom.
Ron's going to be the nominee?
That's her favorite, yeah.
Well, but so don't get me wrong. I love Ron. He has the charisma of a piece of
Yeah,
cardboard.
he's like a Nixon.
I'm
versus
sorry.
JFK
I'm sorry.
kind of
Like, listen,
situation.
in this day and age, you cannot be as on the spectrum as he is. And there's nothing wrong with being on the
Oh my
spectrum.
gosh.
It is true. I actually have pitched this multiple times. I think that the Babylon Bee helped coach him through his PR campaign for his election. And he had that horrible, disastrous opening where he did it on Spaces on X and it like
was
didn't
so
even load. It
weird.
was so bad. I actually, to this day, think he should have come out because Trump just started criticizing him for like being awkward and all these other things.
Yeah.
What you should do is you should come out and be like, listen, guys, I'm a little on the spectrum. Yeah, I have that. That's a thing that's always been a thing in me, but it
This
makes
is your
me
humility
it makes
party.
me incredible. It makes me amazing at what I do. And then all of the attacks that Trump throws at him become kind of part of like who his character is, and it actually helps him rather than hurts him. I know that sounds crazy. Maybe you can't say this in this day and age, but I think it's a social media strategy would have been smarter.
Okay.
Separate point.
On the left too, you can then say if you're being ableist. If
Yeah,
anything
exactly.
This is exactly my point.
We could have an identity
Like
politics.
legitimately, I think that's actually true. But
Latino on the spectrum.
I actually think that.
That's a winning ticket right there, guys.
Okay.
Put that on
Right?
Instagram.
Is he short?
Is the short king too?
No, I don't know. He
don't
looks
know.
short. He gives
I don't-
he gives short vibes.
He's
gives
a little
short
shorter. He's a little
vibes.
shorter. I think he's like 5'10", so I don't know if you consider that.
Short for me.
Yeah. Okay. There we go. Wow. Well, sorry to
That
5'10"
is so
boys out
ableist
there.
of you.
But
Oh my god.
yeah, so heightist over here.
heightist.
No, but what I would say in terms of who I actually want right now, who I think is a good chance, is Rubio.
Okay.
I think that
Yeah.
Rubio has a really good shot in the current moment. But here's the thing: there's a lot that's going to change. Vance has been pushed for a long time, but the VP candidate always struggles to really like buy off like actual credibility because the VP does nothing. This is always the problem for vice presidents. It's like, what do you show? You run literally on the president's record, and like it's not even you that people really attribute it to. But like the Secretary of State, that's a real role. That's like, hey, foreign policy feels like that's you. Rubio claims a lot of the Venezuela victories, they're posting Trump and Rubio,
Yeah.
right? There's no victory for Trump that you're posting Trump and Vance with, right?
So are you worried about the isolationist right though? Like
Exactly.
undercutting him?
They will support Vance much more because Vance is trying to weasel into their ranks more so, and Rubio is much more honest with his approach to like how he does intervention and all these. And I also think he's much more effective in terms of who I want. Then I would prefer him. The question is, I think it right now feels like a 50-50 between the two of them
Between Vance
for who
and
will be a
Rubio.
The
nominee,
fact
Vance
that
or
you
Rubio.
guys even have two people is like, I'm so jealous. I'm jealous. Only emotion. Yeah.
I mean, well, we have two people who are, I would say, I'm relatively okay with. So I guess that is something nice to be taking to heart.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would rather have DeSantis than either of them, I think. Because
do you
I
think's
think
gonna
he'd
win,
be a
then?
more effective president. Who do I think is going to win? Probably Vance.
Vance is a good bet. I mean, many of my friends have argued for Vance, and I still think that Vance is, as much as I say 50-50, maybe it's just like 55-45, I think that Vance is likely to start climbing with that probability over time. It's really
It's gonna be
hard.
really interesting to see that play out with them in the same administration having to kind of like go at each other a little bit, right?
Yeah, and well, also it's a question of who
Where is he
Trump
gonna
crowns.
break? Yeah, like where is he going to break? I do have to admit, when I watched that debate between Vance and Waltz, Vance is an amazing lawyer. He's an amazing debater. Like, I have to admit, when I saw him debate, I was like, he's good. He's real
Yeah,
good.
he
He's
is
real
good.
smart. And I think, like, when it comes, again, to being a salesman, he does that really well. Even like, I mean, being someone who's on social media, I know that you can get a lot of traction from being hated. And like, even his like dumb little meme where they like blow up his face, which is like so funny. I'm sorry. But like, that gets him known as a person. Everyone knows that image. And at the end of the day, I do think that being known is a lot more important than if it's for good or bad reasons, unfortunately.
The other thing that we didn't really talk about, back to identity, is like the Latino vote is going to play a big role, and we're like kind of sliding back on it, and maybe like they're going to be upset at Trump Vance over the ICE debacles, and then they are going to associate that with Rubio.
Some of the other things, right? Like, there are huge populations of Venezuelans and Cubans in some of these states that will show up in primary. Like, they will
show up for Rubio.
They'll show up for Rubio, absolutely. But this is my point, though, is that Rubio has wins that he can show people, right? And those are really useful things. Vance has been, like, just to be honest, all the positions he's held have been like cushion jobs in government. And what I mean by cushion job is like, senator, you don't do anything as a senator anymore. Like, as vice president, you don't do anything as vice president. You don't have a record to show. And actually, his record, many things that he says are like flips of the things that he said a few years prior. And now, Rubio's not clean on that either, obviously. Yeah. But at the same time, though, he's pretty consistent when it comes to a lot of like foreign policy issues and then a lot of domestic issues. He switched on some things for Trump, for sure. But like, I think that you have that pitch. That's why I prefer Rubio, because I feel like I know better what I'm getting, and I like what I'm getting. Whereas with Vance, I worry that like he could literally just be like, well, Tucker Carlson feels like he gets a million views on each of his podcasts. I need to make sure that I placate Tucker Carlson, and I don't like that. I don't like that in a politician who seems to be dictated by it. But don't get me wrong, I would still support Vance all the way through.
I think it's also too like, do you want a Trump 2.0? Like, Vance is the one to go. Like you said, vice presidents don't do much. And like, that's kind of how people voted with Harris. It was like, if you agreed with what Biden was doing, you voted for Harris. I was like, Biden showed me what he did. I voted for him in 2020. I was like, I hated what he did. I mean, I had nothing to show for Harris. So I was just like, I'm going to assume she's going to keep doing what Biden did. And I didn't like what Biden did. And I think the most democratic way of showing my disagreement with the party is to not vote for the party. Right. And so that's why I was like, I'm not giving them my vote. I'm voting third party. So, yeah, if Vance is, kind of like you said, vice presidents have no power, it's, do you want another Trump, essentially?
Wow. Well, so then the last question with this is, who do you think Trump will crown?
He's going to crown whoever he thinks is going to win. I don't think he's going to wait. I think he's going to wait to put his name in until he feels like Rubio has the momentum or Vance has the momentum.
So you think he's going to wait?
We're going to pick the winner, and Trump's going to get on board with that.
What do you think Trump will do?
I truthfully don't know. I think I can't speak to the other side because I don't know enough about like how the internal workings are or like your own thinkings about it. I think that on the left, people really have this image of Trump as being like, yeah, like a king, like a super authoritarian. And I'm like, have you ever gone to a country actually run by an authoritarian?
Preach.
Like, I think that he does show moving toward it. I think that he does break the law a lot, but has every other president? Yes. And so I don't want to say we're being dramatic because there have been unprecedented things, especially with like agencies and like funding, but it just seems like, at least on my side, I get a very different image of like Trump's authoritarian tendencies. And so for me to hear you say that, like Trump will go with whoever the people choose, is something that I was not expecting at all.
I know. I kind of meant that more as a maybe like a slightly just a realistic view of like what Trump wants.
He's a realist.
And he wants to be on the winning side.
Yep.
And so I don't think he's going to try to like, if momentum seems to be going towards Rubio, he's not going to like try to push Vance into power.
That is exactly actually primary, which is like the right thing to do. Totally and maybe that's why you're winning. Like,
so most likely what I expect to happen with this is I expect him to wait and wait and wait until it is clear that somebody's going to win.
Yeah.
And he'll make signals back and forth, acting like he's supporting somebody and everything until it seems like they're there, and then support them. Because again, I think that he cares more about his own self and his own legacy than he does about picking somebody he thinks will be better for the long run in the country. So that doesn't mean that like I don't think that he doesn't have the interests of the country in mind. I just think that that's something that's going to be really on his mind, because you don't want to pick the person who ends up losing in the primary. It looks terrible for you. Yeah. So
our favorite segment. And apparently the most controversial, according to Larissa.
So girl problems.
Made her nervous about
play the jingle.
Approach the bench and ask your girl problems.
All right, now we're back.
Girl problems.
We have like a little jingle for it. That's very simple.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, what we're going to do is we're going to go through a few questions. We're starting with one that actually Larissa recommended. So we're going to begin with that and then move through each of these and see how far we make it. At the point that we start offering good things, I'm just going to cut us.
Okay.
Then we'll just keep moving.
Yep.
Okay, so the first one, rapid fire stereotypes, true or false, that we have of guys and girls on the left. Should we do just girls on the left or just guys on the left or maybe both? We can do both.
Let's do both, and then are we also going to go with on the right?
Oh,
You can do that on the right.
Fun.
You can do that one on the right.
We'll do on the left, and you do on the
You
right.
do on the right. Okay, so
for that.
Yeah.
the first one is that I think
Are
that
we doing
the
girls or
liberal
guys first?
Well, I just
Okay.
want to start with liberal guys. Like,
Right.
I feel like liberal guys often make the girls pay. Is that true?
That is true.
Told you. Knew it was actually the case because they're all. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I feel like
I
a
don't like that.
stereotype
I was
with
going to say some other stuff, but I'm not going to say more. But that's dumb. You should never make a girl do that. What do you think of that?
They're cheap. They're cheap, and then they're also uncharismatic because they feel like chivalry is kind of like sexist or misogynistic, and so they just like abandon. They throw the baby out with the bathwater.
What do you think of that, though?
So I have to mention this. Like I come from an Italian American culture where you would not let the girl pay. Like I think it's also like cultural based too. Like some of my Arab friends too are very much like, oh my God, why would you ever let the girl pay? So I don't even know if it's a conservative thing. I think it also depends on like your background and stuff. But it's not that guys don't pay. It's more of an expectation that like maybe the girl will. Like when I go into dates, I am nervous because I don't know if I will have to pay or not, I will say.
That's a sad position to be in. I'm sorry.
That would never happen on the right.
No, I
I
actually
know,
feel like
I know,
no
that's the
conservative
thing.
guy would ever do that. At least on like the first couple dates. Like after I've been dating for a while, we might split or she might treat me sometimes, like, but never on a first date or like second or third or fourth or fifth, probably.
Do you want to do one now? Will, what's your?
Well,
what's your
I
stereotype?
just said one,
Yeah.
which is like they're unchivalric completely. They're just they don't hold the door open. They don't offer coats. They don't offer like a hat if they're cold. Like they just don't do any of that. That's
that
my
true?
stereotype.
I would say occasionally it is true, unfortunately. Like, yeah, I think it does come to, I guess, like gender equality to a point where it's like if I, for instance, like with the coat thing, it's like, why would I give you my coat if then I'm just going to be cold? And I'm like, I know that we're both human beings, but like in terms of our relationship, I think that you should treat the woman like as the queen, like as a princess. Like you need to be uncomfortable to make me comfortable. And that's just like how I think about things. And the way that I view it as a feminist is I'm like, these are just reparations. Like
Oh,
I have
wow.
to, like,
That's a great selling point. I'm
like,
going to use that.
I have to go through sexism every day. I have to go through gender inequality every day. The
Preach.
least that I can get is reparations from the men. So
Wow. That's a great selling
At least
point.
we could get it across to you guys to let us
anytime-
do it. To let us
Yeah,
do it.
If I get a dirty look from a girl I'm holding the door open for, I'm just going to be like, it's a reparation, okay? It's fine.
you
know?
should. And then she'd be like, oh my God, you're pro reparations?
That's
the
great.
thing to me that's crazy about that is why can't I just say that it's out of love and respect for you?
Is
What's
it?
wrong with?
I don't
Yes,
know.
it is.
I don't know.
What's wrong with that? That's everybody thinks that's kind of like just funny and sad these days. Nobody has
Yeah.
that sense of like, listen, I respect you for the fact that like you are a girl that I'm pursuing and I'm trying to date, and I want to respect you and love you by caring for you in this way.
See,
And-
I see like a lot of guys on the left are more like, well, I don't want to just like, they see a lot of girls as just going on dates to get free dinners and stuff, which I will say people across, like women across the aisle do that. I personally don't, I would say. Like, what? I don't have the time to do that, first of all. But second of all, I think that's disrespectful to both parties to like go to something just to get a financial advantage out of someone else.
Yeah.
But that's kind of like the view that a lot of, I think, guys on the left have now too, where it's like, well, she's just trying to like take advantage of me in this certain way and like not, yeah, without being serious.
A very secular stance on this is that men have more to gain from relationships, like psychologically or statistically, right? Like men in relationships live longer and all that stuff, are more happy. And so I've heard the argument from like a completely non-religious view that like men need to pay because they are benefiting more from the relationship. And so this is like a way to make that equal. But I will say, like, I think there's a bit of moral clarity that Mason and I have on this view that comes from like our conservative religious stance, which is like men and women have different roles in a relationship, different strengths. And like part of that for us in like offering a coat or paying, it comes out of like that sense that like there are different strengths that women and men have and bring into a relationship, and different things that are asked of them, demands put on them, and like this is one of those things.
I do want to make a clarifier though, like
Totally.
I think when it comes to like paying, the first date, like the guy should always pay for sure. But like if you're with someone, maybe after like 3 dates, it's very much for me more based on like proportionality. Like if the guy is making $200,000 and the girl's only making $50,000, then it should be like everything should be split like to 1/4, you know, like 25%.
Oh, interesting.
And so like if I'm going at, like I even look at this, like when I go out with a guy, I'm like, okay, if that guy's also a student, maybe our date should be like getting drinks or getting coffee instead of getting dinner, because we're both kind of struggling a little bit.
Yeah.
And I recognize that. And I honestly wouldn't want to put the burden on the guy who's also a student going through it to pay for dinner. But like, if this guy's like in finance and working and stuff and you're not buying me dinner, I'm like, that's just offensive. That's actually demeaning. And I have something like
So if
Harvard
the
law
girl's
related
making
on this,
more,
too.
then she should pay. Like if the
Yes.
girl's in finance and I'm at law school,
100%. Yeah.
facts.
No, I think so.
I actually agree
truly
with
think
that. After like the first couple
It's just
dates.
because at the end
Yeah.
of the day, when you're a union, it's not my money, my money. It's
Yeah.
we make then $250,000.
That's a really
and we're putting it together.
conservative position, though, I would say. Don't you think?
But I would say that's very progressive of you to think that the women should pay for things.
Yeah, can I give you a more conservative position? Which is
The man controls the bank account.
No. Which is saying that, like, I think in this day and age, that may be the pragmatic reality for a lot of people.
Yeah.
Sometimes you have 2-income households, right? Sometimes the woman's the breadwinner. Many things like that. That changes things. But I think it is important as a man to do your best to step up and to pay the way for the women. And the reason I say this is because again, for the rules you're talking about, Will, I think as a man, it's nice to shoulder the responsibility of that. I think it's a wonderful thing for a man to shoulder that responsibility and to say that this is something I'm gonna try to choose the side of the date. I'm gonna try to lead in the relationship. And like, I think it's meant to be sacrificial leadership. And part of it being sacrificial leadership is demonstrated by the fact that you give up of your resources, right? In the process of making that choice, right? All of these things, these roles, this love that we demonstrate to each other is meant to be to care for the other person well.
Yeah.
So
And I would definitely agree with this, but I think the one way that we would part maybe is like when it comes to how the man is giving up things, it doesn't always need to be economic.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Yeah. So it's like if the man wants to do childcare while the woman is like I've always said, like I don't want children. Like the only way that I would have a child is if my husband really, really wanted a child. And the only way that I would have that child is if I have enough money to support a live-in nanny. Because for me, I want a career and I don't unless my husband wants to stop working and be the caretaker. Like,
Can I ask that with this actually? Because
Yeah.
this is an interesting. I think this is related to a bigger girl problem issue, which is like, I think it's really hard for me to imagine not wanting to have a kid.
really?
And maybe it's because I'm not gonna have to carry the kid. Maybe it's because like there's not all the risks there that are with that attachment. But at the same time, like, to look at like a little baby's face and to see that smile, and like, it's a ton of work. It takes a ton of resources. But in a system like ours, in a place like ours, where we have the wealth that we do, we have the opportunities that we do, like, there is no better time, right, to be having kids. Oftentimes people in like poor settings and things like that, that's when they're having a ton of kids and all these other things, maybe because they don't have birth control or stuff like this. But at the same time, they're having a ton of kids. Like, if I was going to have a kid, I'd want to have them now. And I think it's hard for me to imagine not wanting to have a child. So like, can you explain like what that impulse is within you?
Yeah, if I'm being honest, I've never had a maternal instinct. I just never had the desire to like, I want to create like a union with like my future husband, but I never had this desire to be like, oh, I want to be a mother. I want to have these like children in the world that I like birthed out of me. I don't know. Which like sounds very like anti-woman psychology, because I feel like I shouldn't be thinking that way. And even growing up, like I had this view since I was like 15 years old, and everyone was like, you'll grow out of it. You'll grow out of it. I'm like, no, this is just my view. And I'm 26 now, like childbearing age. And I still have this view, and people call me crazy for it. And I'm like, that's just my preference. But I think what it's mostly rooted in is I really, really put my career first in a lot of ways. I did not date all through college because I wanted to get into Harvard Law. Like,
Wow.
I fully did not, I did one night stands, but like I didn't date. And like that's a lot different. And so I like very much do and have put my personal life on the back burner because I want to further my professional career. And just as being a woman, if you want to be a mother, first of all, you have to get pregnant. And then you have 9 months of hell while you're working. And then after you have that baby, you have to think about another like year of postpartum. And to do that when I'm like 32 at the most crucial time of my career in my life, that like is such an investment that could push me forward or hold me back, is not something that I'm willing to do. Especially then if you have 2 or 3 kids, that's your whole 30s. That a man wouldn't have to experience that in the same way, just like health consequence wise. And it's not fair that my career would have to suffer because I would want like a child.
Yeah, I mean, like quickly, I mean, yeah, there's so much to talk about there.
Yeah.
If you were to remove the physical burden of it,
Like adopting a child.
Yeah, I was
instead.
just going to say adopting actually, because I'm very pro adoption and I want to adopt, and I think that kind of removes one part of that equation. But then I just kind of have a question, like you really don't, even as me thinking about my career, like if at any point I feel like it is getting in the way of me being a father, I'm going to like pivot hard. Like I would rather make $70K a year than X amount of dollars in big law or whatever I go into after this and be a good father, because I think that is the more meaningful calling on my life. And so I wonder, like, you see career clearly as being a more worthy calling than being a mother, even if you were to remove all the inequality.
I honestly...
Could I add one more thing to that
Yeah.
too, just
Yeah.
as a follow-up to that question, like as a second point? I also think, like, as a father too, or a mother, you're bringing in another human being into existence, right? A person who hasn't existed before, whole world, right? That's often how it's described,
Yeah.
right? Like
a unique perception on the
that
universe.
that choice,
Yeah.
and many choices in our world. Maybe in your career you're able to save lives and things like that. Maybe you can save worlds through that. But for me, when I start thinking about it, and this is one of the hardest reasons when I'm asked, like, how many kids do I want? It's like, if I cap at 3, and then let's say this one kid, Joshua, I could have had that 4th kid, he never gets to live because I made that decision. I sometimes think about that when I look at big families, and I'm like, there's so many people who are living in this world, who are experiencing, who have their unique identities, these lives that get to exist because ultimately their parents said, you know, I'm going to give up some things that I wanted for them. So I guess, like, throw that in. Like, do you ever think about that? Maybe like with the adoptions thing too, or do you kind of factor in what I was saying about the career as like you can do more to save worlds?
Yeah, I think first of all, this will, I guess, get a little bit personal, but like I grew up in a very dysfunctional family. And so for me, falling back on my career was something that I always had power in. Like it was not stable within my own family life. And so for me, something I did have control over always was being the best grade-wise, was knowing that like no matter what happens at home, no matter what happens with other people, I am in control and I can further myself and be the best and end up at Harvard Law. So I think that's a little bit why I root like my power in myself, maybe not in being a mother, because like family was not something that I saw as something stable growing up, whereas career always was. In terms of your question, I don't think you're going to like to hear this.
That's okay.
I think there's enough children in the world. I have no desire to create another one when there's already so many out there. And I think for some people, it is really special to like come together with your partner and kind of just like have this final union of just like this child that exists with both of your DNA and everything. And I think that's totally valid. But for me, I'm like, it's not something that I necessarily want. Like biologically, it's not something and I'm like, I really, really want this. And again, I wouldn't want to bring a child into the world if I know that I couldn't be the mother that it deserves. And for me, because I do put my career very, very high and I really value it, I know that I wouldn't be able to take care of that child in the way that it would deserve to. And that's why I said my one like exception, if my husband was like, I really, really want kids, I'd be like, okay, we'll have a kid, maybe get a surrogate, honestly, because then I could still work. But we would need a full-time live-in nanny because that would be the only way that that child would get the care that I think a child growing up should get. I think way too many people are having children when they actually are not ready to or do not have the resources to. And I just wouldn't want to do that to a child growing up.
I mean,
Well, thanks for sharing
That's
all
very
that.
honest
Yeah.
and authentic. I also
Appreciate
I think there's very legitimate concerns there that you're bringing up. I mean, I'll never forget walking through a museum one time, seeing these like little screaming kids running around, and I was walking around with a girl I was on a date with, and we walked by them, and the mother was sitting there, and she looked up at us. I'll never forget this, and she said, "Don't have kids." But I remember this. She said this in front of her little kids running around screaming, and I was like, that is the worst thing I could imagine as a kid.
Yeah.
Right, like a mother saying, like I could never imagine my mom saying that. I can't even imagine the depth of hurt that would cause to me as a child to hear my mother say that.
Yeah,
to me.
and like I saw, despite the dysfunction in my family, I've seen how much my own mother has given up for me, how much my own mother loves me, and how she gave up her whole life for me. Like she stopped working. She was working in the city, completely stopped working because of like having my sister and I, and seeing, I don't want to say the downfall of her life. Like she would characterize it as that, honestly. I don't want that for myself.
You think she would express regret over having you guys?
No, not over having us. But I think 100% regret over having us with a man who wasn't ready to step up and be a father that could allow her to still have a career and still be her own person.
Let's do real quick stereotypes of conservative guys from Larissa, because we were just talking bad about all like the liberal guys. So we got to throw this out there at least, and we're sitting on the bench, so just keep that in mind.
Yeah, I mean, okay, maybe I have a few. So I'll start with one.
Yes.
I wouldn't want to sleep with a conservative guy if he is not pro-abortion or birth control, because God forbid something happens, I know he wouldn't be there to support me.
Unless you were married and you were only having sex in marriage, and then he would be there to
Would be our
support you.
solution.
100%.
Okay,
100%, girl.
I feel like that's the number one thing that I'm just like, why would I like even think about sleeping with a conservative guy? And that's the other thing too. Like I feel like you guys are, I guess I'm making stereotypes now, but like more like you live up to your standards. But a lot of conservative guys I feel like are actually just like sleeping around and like acting like they're holier than thou, but like they actually are not.
No.
Yeah,
This
we
is
have a huge
100%
problem
true.
with that, and we've called that out.
Well,
on
no,
this
you go
podcast
like
before,
remember
for
in
sure.
like
the Make America Hot Again party.
just recently the huge TPUSA America Fest, like Grinder almost like crashes.
Yes, yeah.
Like this is the point though, is that like clearly there is a ton of sexual immorality on the right, and we had a whole episode where we talked about that because we're not fans of that.
So
not
what
fans
else?
Of that at all. Yeah, what's
another
anything else?
stereotype?
You don't have to
I think one that goes along with that I
you
have
go
about
on.
conservative guys is just like they're not fun. They take themselves too seriously. They won't go out
about me, by the way.
Yeah, they won't go out and party and have a good time, or like even sometimes maybe like hang out with people who are not conservative. They're just so prudish and uptight, and like that's a stereotype that I have.
Yeah, I feel like I have the opposite.
Fantastic.
I don't know, like, because at least in Jersey, the conservatives are ones with like the boats and like all the like beach
cool.
houses and everything, and like on
And they
4th
just
of
don't
July,
care about the poor
like,
at all.
4th of no, literally, like on 4th of July, for instance, like you guys are having the best time. Like it's my sister's favorite holiday.
Okay.
She's like on the boats with all the like Make America Great Again banners, and I'm like, ugh, I'm sitting at home doing nothing. All my friends are like, you need to boycott 4th of July because this is an unethical holiday. I'm like, can you guys shut up? Like, can we not be woke that
For
far
one
today?
day.
Like, come on,
Yeah.
please.
Okay, interesting.
So I feel like I see it on the opposite. But again, I'm working with like dirty Guido guys, which is
Yeah.
a lot different than like,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay, so do you have another one? Stereotype? Conservative guys.
Okay.
It's okay. If not.
This is like a Hinge.
Okay.
Okay, something that I feel like from Hinge. I feel like conservative guys think that like girls on the left are more willing to like open up their legs faster.
True?
Probably. I wouldn't
No,
know.
I mean,
Is that true?
Probably
Is that true?
Like I don't know with conservative girls, but like I would say with like, not to use the term sex positive again, but I think a lot of girls on the left are pretty sex positive, and we don't really care about like the before marriage sort of thing. And for us, I would honestly view it as more of a red flag to not before marriage, because what if your intimacy doesn't work well? Like what if you and your partner just genuinely do not like vibe in that way? So I don't know. I think it is true, but not a bad
But a good thing.
True.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, I mean, yes, it's interesting. See, I would say that I would probably be in the camp who would expect that a girl who's more liberal to be more flexible on those things, because like I think
Yeah.
that's also liberalness is associated with open-mindedness, so that's
Exactly.
typically what it is.
Yeah.
I would not characterize it as a good thing, though. Like, I very much, especially not knowing guys, I think it's a really bad thing to have guys knowing, especially going in, that's the reality.
The guys, actually.
Yeah, and so obviously
I think it in a lot of ways does, and I think that's why, like, I'm like deep onto like situationship Instagram reels on my algorithm, and like a lot of it is like girls always like maybe trusting a guy and them really just treating a woman a certain way, love bombing them in a certain way just to get an outcome.
Yeah, which is heartbreaking to me. I hate that stuff.
And it's also gross because these are guys on the left who claim to be feminists and claim to be so progressive, but honestly, I think that like treating a woman in that way is not feminist at all.
No, amen. We would
totally
agree with that.
We would totally agree with that. That's
I have
interesting.
a question for you guys though.
Yeah.
Would you guys consider yourselves to be feminists?
I was literally just gonna say maybe we're like OG feminists because we
first wave, maybe.
Yeah, maybe first wave.
Oh my god.
Yeah, sorry. I know you're not gonna like it. It's probably first wave. Like first wave in the sense of
if someone said, "Are you a feminist?" Step forward.
I did not. So my professor actually
Glenn?
did.
Yeah,
this.
Glenn does this. Glenn does
Yes,
this.
and
I
so
did not.
I was like looking around, like who's not stepping forward.
So I
like,
did not because
didn't. Okay.
the label has expanded so much. Like even I look at like J.K. Rowling, like being ousted by feminists because she's not pro-trans. Like I don't like the label, even though I agree with some parts of it.
Okay.
Yeah, so
and like honestly, I mean, yeah, these liberal guys who are like claiming that label, I would say are probably way less feminist than me and Mason are.
yeah,
You know what I
so
mean?
here's two things. What I will say is I also did that with Glenn. This is something that
We
happens
all
in
had
section 4.
Glenn?
Yeah, we all do. We're all the same section, different
Shout out
years, funny
Glenn.
enough.
Wow, that's
At
crazy.
Harvard Law, we're all different sections, but all the same section at different years. And our
crazy.
professor does this one
Yeah.
activity where he has people cross a line if they agree with it. And he said, like, would you characterize yourself as a feminist? And I still remember I was brand new, scared, showing up
It
at
was
Harvard.
literally the first day.
And I like immediately in my head was like, well, in one way I am, right? And the way that I justified it is how I just justified it to you. Like, I am a first wave feminist in the sense of like, I think women should have the right to vote. They should be able to make decisions for themselves fully. They like are fully autonomous. Some of the most incredible people I know. All these other things. I think though that we have fundamentally misunderstood the absolute power of femininity and maternity, and like the maternity and all of these other things to the point that like I think second wave and third wave feminism largely downgraded the value of those things. And so I worry about that because like my mom is one of the most incredible people on the planet. She has like 4 different professions throughout, like under her belt. She's now a counselor. She raised 3 kids. She was incredible. And what honestly makes her so incredible in my book to this day still is that she was the best mother. None of these other professions. And I think that it would be the same for many of the fathers that I talk to too. And so like that's what I worry about with the other aspects of feminism. I don't know if you'd agree fully with that, William.
No,
but
I agree. You know, I think of like Shani, who was
She's
our last
incredible,
guest.
yes.
She's the epitome of like femininity to me. It's
She
like,
totally is,
and
yes.
we talked about this on the last episode. Like super strong, very career driven, also mother, also super religiously devout, and like somehow holds these things that we would say are in tension. Like she holds them very well. Like Orthodox Jew, career driven, mom.
Everything.
All of that intention. And like
well, I think that's one of the best things about feminism is there's no one right way to do it.
But there is now. Don't you think there is now?
I think the whole point of feminism, because she does not, like her version of feminism doesn't accept all women. You guys
See, this is
No, I just got you, bro.
I was gonna say it, and then I was like, "You guys are gonna clown me." Like I know you're gonna clown me when I say this.
We're just gonna disagree, but it's understandable.
No, because my view on that is truly feminism is about uplifting all women of all races, of all gender orientations, of all sexualities. And so if you start making I don't support that woman, then that's not true feminism to me. But I think at the heart of feminism isn't just about uplifting women, it's about having freedom of choice. Like actual freedom and ability to do things. And so like if someone wants to be a mother and that's their number one thing, let them. Like the feminists who are like, oh, being a stay-at-home mom, like that's not feminist of you. No, that's insane to say, because feminism is all about letting people be women in the way that they have the choice to choose how to be a woman. So
we would agree with that.
Yeah,
I'd agree with that.
We would agree with that in terms of like their ability to choose totally all the way through.
We better go rapid fire girl problems because we are losing light, buddy.
Okay, there are several different questions in
Just
here.
gotta pick 2.
Do you want to do modesty? Let's do modesty. That's an interesting one. We haven't actually talked about this one yet. So I will never forget when I was talking to some girls and they were discussing how like their boyfriend would like tell them, you can't wear this, you can wear that, right? And the reasoning for it was he was like, I just am more comfortable with you wearing this one thing or another. And I think even as a conservative, I was kind of like, I don't really like that sort of like insecurity, but I also understand.
The wind is cold.
Yeah, it's terrible. This wind is so bad. But I also understand like the desire to kind of be like, hey, you should be aware of what you're wearing and what it says to people, right? And so I don't know. First question, do you think it's okay to tell your significant other like, hey, I think that you shouldn't be wearing that?
Absolutely not.
I don't.
Oh wait. Okay. I've told men not to wear certain things. Okay.
Yeah. So
Okay.
I mean, I think that each partner should be sacrificially living for the other and like desiring the good for the other. And like, if a girl has something that I'm doing that like she's really uncomfortable with, maybe it's a joke that I'm making in public about how I hate a certain type of people, and like I don't know, or I'm like a comedian making like some really controversial jokes. And like she's like, I really don't like that, Will. Like that makes me uncomfortable. I think she can totally say that, and like if I'm loving her well, I'm gonna take that into account. I don't think she has like the authority to say like you can't say that anymore.
Exactly. Yeah. So that's sort of like where I fall on that. Then I was like, absolutely not, because like if you're just telling someone what to do, you can or can't do that. That's inherently like oppressive, and I don't think a relationship should be oppressive in any way like that. But like for instance, I have told like guys that I'm like, in relationships with like, oh, maybe look a little bit nicer on this occasion. Like this will not fit like what we're trying to do, and like hold yourself to a little bit of a higher standard. And I think that that's okay to do. I'm also doing it from the women's perspective, so I never really thought about it. Like if a man was telling me that, I feel like I'd probably be a lot more uncomfortable, because I'd be like, who are you to tell me what to wear? You know?
Yeah.
But I think, like you said, if it's like rooted in choice, that is the most important thing, because you cannot just tell if you're putting any oppressive standards upon your partner, then that's not an equal relationship. And then like, what do you have then?
For sure. But I mean, I can sympathize with guys. Like I've never been in a relationship like this, but I think of some, maybe even like Orthodox Jewish friends that we have, where like they're, the culture that they grew up in is very much like about modesty, and so it would be really uncomfortable for them if their wife or girlfriend started to dress in a way that was like, pretty different from how they grew up, and that might be really hard internally for them.
Like cultural standards too. I mean, I lived in Jordan, and like
I got gonna say Muslim cultures. Totally.
One thing that happened to me was I was wearing basketball shorts in the house, and I was I had like the head of the school called me in for a meeting and was like, we have a very important discussion. And I was like, oh my God, am I getting kicked out? And she was like, your shorts are way too short. Mind you, they were like down to my knees. Like they were basketball shorts. And I was like, huh? And apparently the family was like, you may be corrupting like the young like grandchildren by wearing those shorts in the house. Like you need to cover up more. And for me, I was like, I didn't find that oppressive, because that's the cultural standard there. That's okay. Versus just like a man saying that because they're jealous, like being rooted in jealousy or being rooted in like control over a woman's body. That's what gets to me a little bit more.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's interesting. Well, I mean, my one piece of wisdom, I don't even know if I could refer to it as wisdom,
Probably
but one piece of advice I could throw out there on this is that I think that you should be regulating for this ahead of time. And what I mean by that is you should just filter out people who are going to be like going really far out on dress before you decide to date them. Like it tends to be the case that if somebody's going to be wearing things all the time, like that are really promiscuous in your view, or
short
that are way too strict in your view or something, just like something like that, right?
I mean, if someone's on Hinge and they're posting in a bikini and you're like, I would never let that girl wear that bikini, why would you swipe on them?
Yeah,
then?
don't do
like,
it.
Just,
yeah. So that was wise.
Exactly
Mason.
the point. I'm saying like I think you should just filter for these things beforehand.
Or go into it knowing that you can change them.
Amen.
I'm saying, no, I genuinely think some men do this. I was literally just going to say this. Some men are like, ooh, she's so promiscuous, I'm going to change her. Or like, she's so promiscuous, I want that to be all mine.
Yeah,
and
or
so
he's
no
so
one else
MAGA,
can
I'm
see
going to
it.
change him.
I've never
Which
done
would
that.
never be-
I've had
never-
men ask to pay me to blue pill them.
Wow.
I can't say I denied it. I did make a few, maybe hundreds, thousands from that. But
Wow.
That is insane.
Okay.
Oh my gosh.
Some right-wing
What?
guys are like that. They like get turned on by like, I think it's like maybe they think leftist women give more like dominatrix like energy, which is like the farthest of what I am, if I'm being honest. Like, but I have to like literally like ask ChatGPT or no, I can't. Don't put that because the men think it's real.
Okay. This is crazy. I think we'll cut that whole segment.
A lot of guys on the right will like ask women on the left to like, blue pill them, treat them a certain way, and be like, degrade me for my right-wing values. And so I make money sometimes by literally just telling men that their opinions suck and are like horrible. Yeah.
This is what I'm talking about, but that is deep brokenness.
Yeah, that is.
I don't know if this can be put public.
Yeah. No worries.
We might cut that.
I may lose some income.
Yeah, that's crazy though.
Wow.
Interesting. God bless
I
those
don't even
men.
have to say anything sexual. I just have to talk about politics.
Yeah, it's because they literally
get off on me saying, like, one of them was like, just teach me how to be a better feminist, and he would pay me.
Weird.
So.
Yeah, well, that's
I can't
society.
think of anything
Well,
I'd rather not spend money on.
Yeah, I can't think of it. I can't think of it either. Okay,
And
so
if anyone wants me to teach them to be a feminist,
Okay,
I'm going
we're
to
not-
plug right now.
do not do this on that. We do not okay that. All right. Just to close it out, because I think it would be interesting, honestly. We've just had a cross the aisle discussion all the way back and forth for several hours out here. And it would be nice if we just took a pause and gave one piece of advice to try to encourage these things in the future, what we think that our side, the other side, could be doing better to actually be able to engage with people and to build a better political discourse.
Mine was just to have conversations like this in real life. You know, as we've been talking, there's been stuff that Larissa said that I'm like, oh, actually, I think we could come to common ground on that. Or like, just even though we have very different kind of like outcomes or like even maybe like underpinnings behind our values, we share some things. And I'm like, I think we could agree on that. I think we could agree on that. And so just don't write people off based off of, you know, immediately what side of the aisle they're on, but try to have conversations. And I hope for that for this country. I think that's the only way we're ever going to move forward.
Well, thank you for stealing mine. No, I genuinely was going to say the same thing, that we need more conversations. Like, there's such this demonization of people from across the aisles on both sides that it's just simply not always true. Yes, are there some crazy people on both sides? Absolutely. And I think that we all can call them out too. But I think sitting down with like someone else that may have a view different from yours is the only way that you're going to come to understanding on maybe why that person holds that view, and realize that you do have a lot more in common with each other than you actually may have thought.
Amen. Those are both really good ones. And I think kind of built into this, because both of those are speaking in some ways to intentions too, about attributing good intentions to others. I think it's helpful to keep in mind when we're having a conversation like this that the internet isn't a real place. It really isn't. It's not the real world. And the reason why it's important to remember that is just because you'll see videos that we post online. It's kind of funny to be saying this while we're posting a video as well through the internet. It's the only way to access people in today's day and age, though, but it's really helpful to actually sit down and talk with real human beings who hold different views than you, because of the fact that you suddenly realize that all the things that you see on Twitter, on Instagram, on YouTube, whatever it may be, oftentimes it's seeing people in their worst mood, in their worst environment. And the reality is when you actually meet real people and talk through these views with them, you discover that they're often much closer in their values or maybe in their experiences or other things, their desires, to you than you realize. And
I also say, like, you can have a friend that you don't talk about politics with. As long as that person respects you as a human being, which I think there are issues. Some people may not respect that person as a human being, but I have plenty of friends that, like, I'm a fun enough person to not have to bring up our politics at every single instance. So make a friend.
Yeah.
Like
get your fun up, as they say. You've got to just be like that, and also just remember that what you see online, the people that you're criticizing, the people that you're upset with, and all these other things like this, they're often not the thing that you expect them to be, and they're far nicer and far better as human beings. It's not always the case.
I have one last question for you guys.
Oh my gosh.
What was your first impression of me then as a leftist political content creator?
I didn't know anything about you because I am not on social media.
Wow, way to put my ego down.
Sorry.
Yeah. So this is the thing, is that Will does not do any social media. I wish I could do no social media either. I actually hate it. It's really, really horrible, but it's the only way to produce this stuff. I think my first impression, I barely saw any. Actually, honestly, the only res I really saw of yours were like the ones that weren't even really political. It was just like the ones where like I'm at Harvard, whatever, things
Not
like
the
that.
thirst traps.
Well, because I was trying to learn.
Probably the
I was,
thirst traps. That's what
I
he
was
said.
No. I wanted to check these because of the fact that they got millions of views, and I was like, so
Yeah.
why are you Because I'm trying to figure out constantly, as Will knows, how to build our
We
algorithm
need
out.
cow skirts,
Well,
bro.
my number
The
one
problem-
video that I ever made was it was like a funny Harvard political mix where my mom, who's conservative, came and we were just like laughing because I was like, Mom, you can't, you have to hold your mouth. Like people here will judge you because she doesn't hold her mouth. And so we did like a reel where it's like racism, cut it out. Bigotry, cut it out. And it got like 6 million views. And I was like, when you bring your conservative, politically incorrect mom to move into the most liberal country, like the most liberal college in the country.
But this is what I'm saying is that sells well. And so I was trying to learn from it. But also this goes to the point though, of like the internet, sometimes you wire your content towards stuff that's going to sell. And like maybe that's not a good thing from some of us. Maybe it's not good fully. And I've complained to Will about it, that I feel sometimes bad having to do that. But it's also the mechanisms that we use to interact with each other. So I think it's important to be mindful of the mechanisms we use versus the people we are. And if we can actually have a better division of that, and as I said earlier on, like start desiring better mechanisms, which I think is a first step that would be amazing. Start to desire better ways of communicating, better desires, and maybe, I think, rightly ordered intentions for each other. Maybe we could end up with a better politics. But that's the last that I'd say.
Great. Yeah.
Anyway,
sounds
though,
good.
that's the whole hours-long episode.
Thanks so much.
We'd
Thank
love to
you
hear
very
your
much
thoughts.
for doing this.
Thank you so much for
Appreciate
doing
it.
this.
It's
Truly,
been great.
Thanks for
God bless
having
you.
me.
Yeah, it's been awesome.
The one thing I'll say is anybody out there, if you have feedback, remember you can email us at approachthebenchquestions@gmail.com. You can also submit voice memos through the link in our bio. And you can comment on one of many of Larissa's videos if you want to.
I get enough hate, so like if you can give me some love and support
Give her
from
some
the
love.
right,
Give her some love.
please.
And
That
also,
would be
if you-
very nice.
If you're liberal watching this because of Larissa's, if you're like a Larissa fan and you want to be red pilled by me, hit me up. Send it to Approach the Bench. I'll start an OnlyFans. Set that up.
All right.
It'll be great.
All right. Well, Jesus loves you. Guys, have a good one.
Jesus loves you.